Thank you for tuning in to the NC Chamber's third episode of our podcast, Relaunching North Carolina, Perspectives from NC Business Leaders. The goal of this series is to make sure we're capturing and amplifying the voice of the business community as we move forward with reopening our state's economy and getting folks back to work. Today, we're honored to have with us Alan Gant Jr., Chairman of Burlington-based Glen Raven. Now, one of the really fascinating things about Glen Raven, aside from the fact that it produced the fabric that's in the flag on our moon, which just amazes me, is that it was founded by Alan's grandfather in 1880 and has been family owned throughout its history. Alan joined Glen Raven in 1971 and served in a number of increasingly responsible positions with the company before serving as CEO from 1996 to 2017. Gant, who attended the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, go Tar Heels, was honored with a degree of Doctor of Humane Letters from Elon University, is a global business and textile industry leader as well. He served as a member of President Bush's Advisory Committee for Trade Policy and Negotiations, was a member of the Board of Directors of the American Manufacturing Trade Action Coalition, and past chairman and board member of the National Council of Textile Organizations. He's also active with numerous community and educational organizations. Alan, thank you so much for sharing your time with us today.
Well, thank you very much for having me. It's a real exciting time in North Carolina right now, and it's exciting to see business beginning to reopen.
It really is. So let's just jump right into this. And you might have to give the condensed version here, considering the fact that you and your family have had ties to the state business community for 140 years. But how would you describe your ties to the state business community?
Well, you're exactly right. I'd have to give the bridged version of it, but we have been actively involved in business in North Carolina since 1880. My grandfather started the business in that year, although he was involved for a decade and a half before that.
Wow.
And since then, we have had facilities and operations throughout North Carolina. Now we are in 6 continents around the world with a few over 3,000 employees. So it's gone from a very, very local business here in Burlington, North Carolina, and Altamaha, and to a substantial global business today. It's been quite fascinating to see the change in North Carolina and how North Carolina has become one of the best places to have a business. And obviously we think so. Otherwise we wouldn't have been here for 140 years.
Right. Right. And we are so glad that you continue to choose North Carolina as a home for your business. Regarding COVID-19, because this is the main topic of today's conversation, how has it personally impacted you? I mean, we all know someone who's lost something. God forbid they've lost a person, but people have lost their jobs. They've lost the ability to connect with their loved ones. Everyone's lost something. So how has it impacted you personally, Alan?
Sure. Well, my wife, Denise, and I have cloistered ourselves in our home. And we spent inside our home and also at our cottage in Atlantic Beach, North Carolina. But I had an aorta valve replaced several years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have to pay really close attention. And
right.
A virus like this can really affect me, if not take my life. So we have really, really done some things that we would have never done before. I've never ordered from the grocery store and had it delivered, nor gone to the grocery store and picked it up. And I've never ordered as much online as I have in the last 8 weeks. It's been truly amazing. So quite frankly, the old dogs have had to learn some new tricks in order to survive. And that's been,
You're right.
That's been quite interesting.
I'm sure. You have your finger on the pulse of the business community, and you're really well connected with business leaders of companies both large and small. So what can you share with us about how employers are looking at this situation? What have you heard?
Well, it's certainly a time in which there is nothing that looks like it that's ever happened in the past. We
Mm-hmm.
had a really vibrant economy going on in North Carolina and in the United States, the best in the world. And we were on an 11-year stretch, which was absolutely, I think, a world record, quite frankly, for an economic boom. Certainly, the types of um, businesses across the state have been affected from 100% shutdown to as little as some businesses have, in fact, expanded.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just amazing as to where you were and the products you were producing. But business leaders across the state have adopted a philosophy of being very cautious.
Mm-hmm.
I think that also they have tried to open up their minds. And when I say that, uh, all of a sudden you have to do business differently. And so if you don't have an environment that encourages innovation, you probably are going to fail. And every single business, whether you're a restaurant or a manufacturer or .com or electronic or whatever it is, you have had to do business differently, and you had to do it very fast, and that requires a great deal of innovation. So I do see business leaders adopting innovative ideas that they never thought of or dreamed of before.
Definitely. One thing that I've been encouraged by personally is just seeing the agility and that innovation that you speak of in our business owners and our business leaders and in our employees as well. So that's an encouraging silver lining there for sure. We're starting to hear whispers of possibly a mask mandate coming down the pipeline, possibly some a reversion to greater restrictions than we're experiencing now due to some key indicators that the folks in charge are following. So, is there anything that you would like to see change in North Carolina's response to COVID-19? What are your thoughts there?
Yes, I think we have erred quite significantly because we did not have effective and accurate data.
Mm-hmm.
At this point in time, I really believe that the state of North Carolina needs to reaffirm the data that is available. We are learning more about this virus every single day and every single week.
Yeah.
And we all know that the virus doesn't live very well outside. So there's no reason why we shouldn't be outside. We also realize that it doesn't do very well in sunlight. And so we need to make sure that our parks and recreational areas are open for people. One of the things that I am really concerned about is the mental health of North Carolinians. I think, quite frankly, that the mental health, the alcohol abuse, the drug abuse, child abuse, spousal abuse,
Mm-hmm.
the mental health of North Carolina is really in jeopardy. And we need to be extremely careful and make some very wise decisions, but do it on sound data. We need to have the sound data. And obviously, we need testing galore. And when I say galore, I think that the 5,000 tests per day is minuscule
Right.
compared to what we could have. When we have tremendous medical supply and medical companies here in North Carolina, and there's no reason why we cannot get all the testing that we need done on a very quick and accurate basis. But I believe it will lead us to having better data to make better decisions.
And the other participants of this podcast that we've interviewed thus far completely agree with you. That seems to be the key word in every podcast: data, its importance, and transparency of it when communicating with the public, so that confidence can be instilled there that the decisions that are being made are based in science and in data. So I think you're in good company there with those insights.
And I really believe that we've got to open up this economy. We have got to get people together again. Humans are designed genetically to be connected, and we have to figure out how to do that safely.
Right, right.
And it's just I mean, come on, we live in in the year 2020. We're smart enough. We've put people on the moon. We're smart enough to do this, and so we have to make that happen. If we cloister ourselves, we certainly stand to have a double whammy of economic recovery that would be horrible.
What words of advice would you share with other business leaders who are really struggling to navigate this environment of uncertainty? I mean, by definition, uncertainty is impossible to navigate. So, I mean, what do you say to business leaders who are scratching their head and throwing their hands up and saying, I don't know what to do?
Well, lots of times people get in that position where the problems are so great and so many that they don't know which one to attack. So it's a very simple process of taking a Post-it and put all your issues on one wall, and then prioritizing them, and take the first one, deal with it, then the second one, deal with it, and then the third one, deal with it. There's methodology to doing that, but I will tell you, there's one word that everybody who's in a business community should be paying attention to, and that is cash. Cash is king. You need to know where every single dollar is, how much you're spending, how much you're taking in, and plan to be able to outlast the pandemic.
You, as a business leader, have had the tall task of rallying your troops at Glen Raven and maintaining morale as much as you can during this time. How are you doing that, and how can other business leaders do that?
That's the most interesting question, and there is no doubt at all in my mind that people are your most valuable asset. And you have to treat it that way. So anything that involves people gets your number one attention. First of all, you mentioned a word earlier in our interview that is absolutely imperative, and that is be transparent. Share the good, the bad with your employees and with your business associates. Don't try to sugarcoat anything. Be completely transparent, be open, and be prepared to ask those people to help. Because in the type of innovation that we have, it's the little innovations, the big innovations that come together that make a successful business. And second to that would be creating a culture that understands and manages change, a culture that rewards innovation, a culture that doesn't just put down an idea because somebody suggested it. Innovation really does well in a culture that allows people to fail without costing them the company. And today you have to have innovation because the things that we're doing are different than what we did last week.
Right.
And in order to survive, you have to innovate, and innovate at a substantially faster rate than you've ever dreamed of before.
What has encouraged you most during this pandemic? There are so many sad stories that we hear, but there are also some silver linings. And I wondered if you had any that you could share with our audience.
I'm continued to be inspired by people. People in the darkest hour seem to come together and to pull as a team and win. And I see so many businesses, for instance, restaurants, that just were devastated by this pandemic.
Yes.
To shift all their resources and assets towards doing takeout. They never dreamed of doing takeout. And some of them are really fine dining takeout. And it is amazing the resilience of people.
Yes.
And the innovation that I see taking place in businesses is just absolutely unbelievable. And those are the things that involve people that really inspire me. I can't spend a lot of time watching TV about all of the the madness and the craziness that's going on, because
Right.
there's so many good people out there doing all they can to make a success and provide for their families. And they come together in a way that they never dreamed of, and they're doing it in a way that is innovative. And the state of North Carolina is benefiting from that in spades.
Absolutely. And you've made it clear already that you place a premium and a priority on your people. And that, to quote you, you said they're your most valuable asset. And I love that you said that. In addition to being transparent with employees and customers and stakeholders, what are some other ways that businesses can make people the priority during this time?
But it's the little things that matter, and reaching out to your employees and customers and inquiring as to how their businesses are, and I think really having the will to help people, and that people are making sacrifices. So when you're talking to your employees, what can I do to help you? What can I do to help you be more innovative? Well, I have to drive so and so to get to the grocery store. Have they? Well, can we do that for you? I mean, or if you're going to be here, can we provide lunch? I mean, it's the little things that you do. Um, Customers, oh my goodness, during this time, you're shipping customers in a different way. You're satisfying their needs in a different way, and just inquiring with those customers on a direct and regular basis. How can I help you facilitate your business? And you'll be amazed at the innovation that takes place. And there are lots of things that you can do for your customers that you normally don't do, but your customer need. We had a customer the other day who called and said, look, I don't know how to get a truckload of things from Greensboro to the West Coast. And we said, sure, we have a logistics business. We'd be happy to help you. We normally don't do that for that particular customer, but today we're happy to do it.
Right.
And so it's just reaching out to people and say, how can I help you? What can I do to make your life easier? And what can I do to make your business better? And being prepared to back that up with real stuff is really exciting. And it's also will help you run your business.
Absolutely. And, what you just spoke of, it's almost a paradox in a way, right? Because we're facing this crisis with COVID-19, which has made so many people feel isolated. And yet so many businesses are being innovative when it comes to new ways to connect with people. And you just gave some really great examples of that. And I appreciate that. And I'm sure our audience does as well. Alan, thank you so much for being with us today. Are there any final thoughts that you'd like to leave our audience with?
Well, I certainly believe that all those people on Jones Street in Raleigh, North Carolina, we really need to reopen this state. We need to get the economy going. Hospitality is one of our greatest industries, and it is suffering so very, very much. We have to learn how to safely conduct our business, but we have to reopen our business. We can do this. This is in front of us. If we have good data and we make good, sound decisions and we work together. There's so many decisions that are being made in Raleigh and other places in which the business community is not being involved. And I encourage the chamber to put people together so that we can together make better decisions, quicker decisions, execute on our strategies and supply customers and satisfy other things so that we have a vibrant economy in which we'll have the best outcome and the best mental health in the country. And thank you so much for taking the time to do this interview.
Thank you. And thank you for all you do for our state and continuing to choose North Carolina as your business home. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Alan Gant Jr. with Glen Raven. Alan, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you very kindly and have a wonderful day.
You too.